Gathering and say of indigenous folk and from folk and everything. It's lovely to see everybody here this afternoon. I think you're in for a treat because when Denise and I were putting together this, I was thinking about the past, the present and the future. And the past, for those who are with us very much, in every way, we've contributed immensely to the 35-year history of the integrative movement. We have what I've described as royalty, but that's going to be a bit controversial. Our VIPs, we've got lots of VIPs here today. We have VIPs of the past, the people who established this school and who led the foundations for many, many others. We have Anne obviously, and we also have Cecil Lennon, and they're going to do a double act now. That was a scene, but it was out to the whole on the past. And then our ever-present, our delight in having 22,000 children who are in those good schools. We have represented here today Kathy Smith, who's a former of this stuff, August established within 35 years. And then we have the future. And the future sitting over here on my right. And the future is Kelly Armstrong NLA is going to talk to us about her private members bill about integrated education, which I'm sure you'll all be thrilled to hear about, because I think the consultations due to open no. So, and you'll all be delighted, I'm sure, to put in your tongues if they were about what you think about that particular private members bill. And I encourage you to put your tongues in, otherwise very important you do. The more people who participate in that, the more people understand how important that is to us. So I'm not going to do any more introductions around that. I've kind of said that because of the bylaws of them all. If you don't know, go and have a word with them. These are all very, very personable people who've been around a long time and will be delighted to tell you more. But the reason we're doing this today is to give people a context for what we're doing next, which is our future. Okay? And of course there's another member of the future here as well. I should mention the prompt panels. You may not be able to tell you much about it, but it's there, and that's going to come as part of our future as well. So 35 years, yes, in the past, now, but we have, I hope, a lot more than that in the future, and a lot more schools. We're now 65, as you know, 65 schools, and I'm hoping we'll have a lot more there as well.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. Colin Kavanagh, my friend, my colleague of many years. Great to see you, and Colin is currently president of NICIE. Alan Henry, chair of NICIE. Rosalie Marshall, who is CEO of NICIE. Oh yeah, there she is. Amanda McNamee, principal of this great school, which we're all so fond of. All the NICIE governors and staff and any members of Lagan who are here. It is indeed an honour and a privilege, and Anne and I feel so lucky that we are alive and well enough to see this day. And thank you so much for inviting us to be here. I personally don't think, and I haven't consulted on this because I'm sort of terrible working up to the last minute, that we cannot leave this day, the 11th of the 11th war past, without just mentioning a few very special people. And the top of my list is our list: Basil MacGyver, president of, chaired this school from 81 to 2004. Thelma Shield, a founder parent of ACT. She designed our logo, she wrote the dedication to the book. She did practically all the typing of the early years of Orchard Together, including letters to bishops, archbishops, the papal nuncio and the Vatican. Henry Dunleith, who steered our act to the House of Lords in '78, and I canvassed with him for the Alliance Party, and I saw his courage, and I saw what he and his lovely wife Brenda were put through, and it was horrendous, just horrendous, for stepping out from the herd. Sister Anna, small Anglican nun, with a lovely slide of her, needs to later on. She came to Belfast with Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa was turned out because somebody felt that she was maybe hinting at giving Catholic women things to do at their time other than have more children. I don't know if that was ever true. Sister Anna isn't chucked out of anywhere easily, believe you me. She stayed down here for 31 years. Single-handedly she fundraised for this college in France, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands and the States. She never paid for an airfare. Her trick in the continent was to go in and say, in her habit of course, she was a sister of the Anglican Sisters of Love of God. It was basically a contemplative order, but she was worse than us for talking, wasn't she? She used to go into a restaurant with a little teapot and say, I wonder could I possibly have some hot water and a tea bag? And then they would say, well, would you like some booze? Well, yeah, that would be. She can't hold nothing. She was incredible. She was frequently interrupting very busy board meetings at about midnight, and Basil would say, Sister Anna, would you please stay quiet? You know, I just have to see I'm getting lift home. And the balls were flying. And she lived at the top of the auditorium. I never told my late husband where I was at that time. George Hewitt, who was a great friend of ours, now he wouldn't be known to many of you, he gave virtually his entire retirement years to sitting in a small caravan beside the school in 63 Church Road, working on behalf of all children together. He became one of our first treasurers, and in 1987 he was the first person who brought together all the treasures of the small funds that were springing up. Roy Houston was our first treasurer in All Children Together, and Wallace Johnson, who was the most interesting man, Assistant Secretary of the Joseph Rowntree Trust, who followed All Children Together and encouraged us all through the 70s. And we're saying a bit more about him later on. Dorian Budd, our much loved classroom teacher, who was appointed with Sheila Gracefield and Brian Lamkin, and I think she was part-time for the first year. I think she was too. Chris Moffat, I only heard literally within the last fortnight. Again, another tremendous work for the whole cause of integrated education, and she and her husband Tom were the instruments behind Ronald College becoming possible. So there must be so many others. Maybe we could just pause for a few seconds and think about it. Thank you very much. When I was preparing for this today, there were 5 letters beginning with P, 5 words on it that kept going through my mind. And they're parents, pastors, politicians, perseverance, and power. And they all come into this story in different ways. Let's start at the very beginning, slide 2, if you can call it up, Denise. I wrote a letter to the paper in March of that year. Tom and I had 3 children, and trying to keep this not go over our time, we decided for various reasons we were going to send them to the prep school for Sullivan Upper. Nothing to do with snobby reasons at all. The Catholic school was bunged the doors. I wasn't familiar with state schools here, and I did come from a family where my brothers and sisters went to schools, and you went there from the time you were 5 until 18. And I didn't really fancy this whole 11+ thing. I knew less about it. And they were welcomed with open arms, but then we just knew we wouldn't get any help with religious education. So I wrote this simple letter to the paper, not thinking I would find anybody in the same boat, just saying that we'd love to hear from other parents, because it was quite a burden. And we were not the James Joyce type, we were fairly committed Catholics that wanted to teach our children about their faith. I was immediately contacted by a great friend of ours, Betty Benton, and she was part of quite an organised group in Bangor who were already running Sunday classes. They had started in '69 with a group of Catholic parents. We were also contacted by people from Newton Ards, East Belfast, and even one family on their own in Ballymena. And we kept just comparing notes, made sure we were using the right books, and there wasn't an awful lot more to it than that really, except we did have very nagging neighbours, of whom one is here, Margaret Kennedy, and she knew from very early on what was going on, and she and Selma Sheila in Bangor, and another very good friend of ours, Bill Brown, they said, well, we would like to come, and we know we're not Catholic, but we're delighted you're in our schools. And we met that response all over. So it was obvious that people wanted to join in. And we could also see the opinion polls, and we knew there was great interest in it. But basically, we were just trying to get catechism classes going. And then, bless my cotton socks, In early spring of '73, there was a statement read from the altar in Bangor, Hollywood and Newton Arts that any children not in Catholic secondary schools or going to Catholic secondary schools would have the sacrament of confirmation without. They wouldn't be confirmed. And we were having an end of year meeting later on in the old Windsor Hotel in Knocknagoning, and we had a huge influx of parents who were older than us, because our children were only sort of 5, 6 and 7 at this stage. Absolutely fuming with this. I mean, and they wanted to go public straight away. We said, look, we're actually trying to work through the channels of contacting bishops, the nuncio, etc., etc. And if we get a no from them, we will have an article published. And they were terrific. Stuck with us, and we stuck to our word. Nobody ever met us. I don't think anybody really answered our letters either. And in March of '74, we had an article published in the Belfast Telegraph, just saying what I've told you now, and just very simply saying at the end, we didn't make it the raison d'etre of the article that yes, it was true, the sacrament of confirmation had been withheld. Well, it got sort of world coverage. The word went viral, had been invented, but that's what happened. And of course, all of this was bringing more people in our direction. That's all. You know, I was saying to Anne, we were talking to some of the young people from Lagan College. It was a constant battle of getting over obstacles, wasn't it? It was like the Grand National. And the more obstacles they put in front of us, it seemed to gather more floss, and off we went again. So by this stage, would you believe, 5 weeks after that, Alan MacIver was minister in the parish-sharing executive. He published his shared school plan. And the politicians, I think his courage, he had the full backing of Brian Faulkner. If you read our book, and we have flyers for it all over the place that Jonathan Barton wrote with us, they knew they were running short of time. And Brian said to get that through. He got it through the parish-sharing executive with support from everybody, I think, but the SDLP. But that might be unfair, because I think that might be just John Hume. But anyway, past is past now. 13.5 million for shared nurseries. Strategically very clever, because the hierarchy were never against 6 more colleges or nursery schools. The parish-sharing executive fell. Alison MacIver shows you what the great people in this world do, contacted us later and said, could he join us? I mean, could he join us? Come on, you know. It was just wonderful. And then people began saying to us, well, suppose you just sort of wither up and go now. And we said, no, we were actually planning on a meeting because of our bullying neighbours to ask the movement to become interdenomination. We had that arranged for the end of May, and we had to cancel it because of the violence following the UWC strike. That meeting was held in September. We asked the Catholic parents first because we were trying to be democratic, and a few of them said, but why are we going interdenominational? And we had a very good discussion about it, and then we allowed in 40 Protestants. Well, that's what it says in the book anyway. I don't know if you counted them or not. But we were really very thrilled. Another 2 months later, we had the first seminar we ever had called Interdenominational Schools, How, Why and the Way Ahead. We could accommodate 100 in the Presbyterian Community Centre in Queens, and it was absolutely, we couldn't take any more. We had to have a cut-off point. But like getting into these schools now. And we passed 3 resolutions. Oh, sorry, I forgot, Denise, in '74. After we, yeah, no, that's okay. That was '74. Betty Benton was asked to speak at a meeting of the Peace People in the Grosvenor Hall, and I have down here that slide 7. Well done. After shared school plan was April, we said, oh, that, you know, that. The first seminar, just very quickly, the speakers were Liam McCullum, Parents' Rights and Education, a senior barrister, Brian was here, QC at that stage, yeah. The importance of the integrated sector in education, Tony Spencer, who was a member and a colleague of Anne's in the Department of Sociology. On Christian love, Father Desi Wilson. A common religious education syllabus, John Greer, University of Ulster. Denominational instruction, Michael McCool, who was chair of the Parent Sunday School in Bangor. Sister Agnes Devlin from the Mount Oliver Institute in Dundalk. Do you want to guess what happened? The bishop told her not to come. So she didn't come. She wasn't allowed to come. He banned her. They have the right to ban people from their lives. 2 coaches, 1 people. Our own Bill Brown, who's a member of our board, and the first or second or third Protestant, joined with a man called Victor Leach, who was principal of Omagh High School. And their paper, I still have a copy of it, I think that could have been taken almost verbatim and put into Ballymoney's Education Order 89. The cross-curricular themes of two cultures. It's just plain brilliant. It really was. We passed three resolutions at the end of that conference, that there was clearly a need for a third sector to be integrated, and that we asked Kelly that where a new school is being planned, Denny, or the above then, the Education Library Boards and the churches should consult parents before commencing their negotiations. This never has been done in this province yet. And that the churches should increase their pastoral care to families. Our point in that was that if there were some of our parents who would go for advice, the sort of self-help we were doing, more people would be, Catholic parents in particular, would feel freer to send their children and not worry about their RE. And it's very important to say here that this first seminar was attended by Wallace Johnson, I referred to him earlier. And he stayed in touch with us, he came to several of our AGMs as well. The Joseph Allen Free Trust was doing an awful lot of work in South Africa, but the social scientist, I don't know, maybe you knew him, Robert Hughes. Right. Well, he apparently persuaded the Rotherham Foundation to take an interest in Northern Ireland. And they took a great interest in us, the Divis Education Project, and the School Intercultural Project, I think. During 75, we continued with very serious work on trying to establish contact with the hierarchy and co. And the only person who would see us, and we had a lovely meeting, was Mosofi. He actually said to us he would come in the morning and confirm the children if he had to, which would have been unheard of because each bishop is a king in his own diocese. We were now very much part of the educational scene, and we were asked in 76 to put on a radio and a television programme as part of their community broadcasting. It is from these, those slides are 11, 12 and 28, please, I think. That's Tony and I, the one before that, me with long hair and Tony, and then these are the next one home. Here's Thelma. I think that chap's name was Brian Taylor, so that's going to be joined Carmela. I cannot remember her name. Betty Benton, and this is Bilbram. And we have a video of that, we still have that somewhere, but it was for this programme that the tremendous role for Irish cartoons were played. That's okay. That's carried on. Can you, 28 I think is one of Rose's cartoons. That was, that's your writing, Margaret. Just love your MPs. And these ones. This one, the opening the door, that's all of us trying to push the door with the hand. They're in this school, man, aren't they?
Yes. We give them out. Give them out as gifts.
We can get them out after. Margaret Kennedy and Thelma presented those cartoons to this school in 2003, which we thought was lovely. So what I'm trying to say is we were gathering moss the whole way along. In 76 we were on another seminar, and you had the thing, slide 12, Denise. And we had a lovely letter from Father David Constant, who was coming over and bringing a sister with him. And she said, was an answer to her prayers because she'd been praying for years to help in Northern Ireland. She did exactly what we were doing. She did RE for Catholic children outside of schools. And then we had another letter from him saying that actually he really couldn't come, but he sent us a copy of this paper. At the same time, Communication Centre in Dublin put out a statement saying that Father Constant had sort of lately realised he didn't really know enough about here. So he'd been stopped. And we, at this stage, the Joseph Allen Free Foundation gave us grant for these seminars. We had blown the whole lot on publicity. It was sold out again. And I met him with a friend of mine in London about 20 years later, and I just greatly embarrassed him. I said, anytime you feel like it, that was 20 years ago, I'll give you on £500 and he said like a pouch. He didn't do it. In 76, we published what I would call our template for, think of a nicer word, for shared schools, called Act on Shared Schools, slide 15. It covered the importance, and you were stressing the other day when I spoke to you, of shared management throughout Catholic and Protestant teachers and other teachers together, and teaching staff, and again, the essentials of the core, the shared curriculum, history, cultural studies, and RE. And that whole section again was written by Bill Brown with Victor Leach. The full text of that is on page 280 of the book. There, yeah, the copies of them. We have copies of that somewhere too. In 76 also we were asked by a very interesting member of ours who came all the way from 5 Mile Town every month for a monthly meeting. Now, driving from Enniskillen, from 5 Mile Town to Belfast in the 70s, I have no idea how long it took. His name was John Burrell. He had 35% Catholics in his school, and he asked us could we begin looking at a way of, give me the words, transforming or maintaining their safety in the school, and he realised that the management had to be shared. That led to work on what became the NICIE Act, and I know that Tony, and I'm sure you and Basil had it, enough, we all had our penny's worth, we did. But you see, we had the great advantage that Basil had a direct line into the draftsman in Stormont. And it had to go through the House of Lords because Stormont was prorogued because the violence was so shocking. And Henry Dunleith again stepped up to the bill, literally, metaphorically. Introduced in 77, there it is there. It was an act to facilitate the establishment in Northern Ireland of schools acts to be attended by pupils of different religious affiliations or cultural traditions. It sailed on merrily in 77, it ran out of time, was reintroduced in 78. Peter Medship was Minister for Education at this time, and just on about the last day before it, he tried to get it withdrawn. We were really quite astonished because up until then he had been quite accommodating. I have no idea why. Met him afterwards and he said, oh well, I would have spoken in favour of integrated education everywhere. He was pressurised by the civil servants. I mean, nothing could happen on it. All that this was to do was to ask the churches to move over 1 or 2 places, to take 1 or 2 parents on to share a school. That's all. So that became a law in 78, and really, and we were very hopeful that things would happen, that more schools would transform. A few schools, Throne and Park, the secondary school in Park Parade, tried to use it, but no work had been done by Denny or the boards underneath it in supporting the school. Parental frustration was just beginning to overflow. So the executive decided that at Christmas 79, oh sorry, I should go back to this, Wallace Johnson again suggested to us that it was looking very like as though we were going to have to open our own school. They were not able to give us money because we didn't have charitable status. So in the International Year for the Child in 79, we set up what we always put together, Charitable Trust. He also gave us money for a book, remember? I haven't read the book. That's it, 20 years later. Confirmation was refused again in 77. So that particular day, Betty and I and other parents, Catholic and Protestant, Mormons there, decided to have a pray-in outside the church where the bishop was confirming the children. Quite an odd thing to do. And my dental practice was in Bangor, and overhead of me was a branch of Cleaver, Fulton, Rankin. And I didn't know this very well, but we had no typewriter. And I went up to him and I said, I wonder if I could possibly borrow your secretary for a minute. And he said yes. And I said, we just want to print out this thing because we're going to a church in Newton. I didn't tell him what we were doing. So his secretary printed out these words. Any man, what's that thing? So there we were, just what you expect 2 middle-class Catholics to do. And the very next day, for some reason, we must have had a holy day or something, we had to go to Mass. I was Mass anyway, and Sarah, my daughter, was about 4. And we got up the order, and I put up my hand screen, and she said to the priest, look, you shoot. I felt that the whole church would at the back of my head anyway. What would she like? Anyway, in the summer of that year, through a mutual friend, I met Cormac Murphy O'Connor, who was then Dean of the English College in Rome. He said he would take our appeal to the Vatican. I can't remember the names of the congregations it went to, the one that Selma had typed for us. He would bring it out with him. And very shortly after that, we got a phone call to know would we go and see it. No, believe it. And that whatever he was going to do, something was going to happen. And happened, it did. We've never heard, we never will. They don't tell people I know what happens. But the following January, February, a notice came out saying that parents of post-primary children, Catholic children who hadn't been confirmed, were to go to see their parish clergy and special arrangements would be made. And they were. And the children were confirmed. Now, that was fine. We were very pleased about that. There was more to go. They wouldn't confirm them at the same time as the children. We were, enough to do. And then Conor O'Cleary, bless him, and he was a great friend of ours, he wrote an article in the Irish Times saying that Bishop Philippin had been pressurised by the Vatican to confirm the children. And within 24 hours, he had arrived in the case. Slapped him. That court case took place in 1981, and I think it's yeah, there we are. That was actually 81, it doesn't matter. We had, cleverly enough, they took the case in Dublin, obviously, Catholic Bishop. We couldn't be subpoenaed because it was outside the jurisdiction. So we said to Conor, we'll have to work this out in our own consciences. So we did go. He did get about 10,000, whatever the money was, in Dublin, and it was considered sort of a bit of a slap in the face for Catholic Bishop. It was like a murder, but nobody. But what we were really annoyed about was, all along, we had said, we are very happy for your advisors. He was on your board, nice man, O'Connor. We were very happy for them to come and examine the children, because we knew they knew their stuff. Some of them, I think, had done their PhD, we talked to them so much. And they never did. And that little man sat in the High Court in Dublin and read out some of the papers of 10-year-old children and said they weren't good enough. It was horrible. At least, again, the one, Denise, about the one that you had beside that. No, the one, this one. For a paper in the South of Ireland in 77, and that was the Irish Press. It's very significant because, I mean, it would be still to this day very slow to talk about abortion or anything. To come out as strongly as that against the Catholic Bishop was really quite something. And remember, the violence was shocking up here, and they really couldn't understand. It was wrong. You said it was wrong, didn't you, in theology, to refuse sacraments to children. We might have been right in choice of school. The net outcome of all of that was we all trooped off to Derry. We were treated royally by Eddie Daly, who didn't agree with our choice of school, but he put his man in charge of catechetics to help us, and he took the kids for about 4 weeks, and we were welcomed to the altar, so that was a happy end to that whole story. So, Christmas 79, we asked all the members of the Old Children Together Executive to put their thoughts on paper in their spare time on what they thought would be the wedge in the door, reflecting the Rose cartoon. I think, Margaret, you did 6 form colleges. No. What did you do? Oh, did you? You went to then. All right. I tried to do nurseries because I thought if we could get away from, the statutory school age, we might not have as much opposition, and we were a bit weary from all these clerical languages. But you, I think, probably worked with 20, I'm not sure. And the one that came through was that we would open, the best option was a post-primary school, and it worked for many, many years, trying to do it at 11 plus in the Association for Comprehensive Education. And that was brought to the AGM in 81. And you can run the slides on, Denise, because they're all right up then to Lagan College. Post-primary, all ability schools.
That's a big meeting.
Catholic, that's the one we were looking for, yes. And I was all getting into trouble for not putting in the name copy that I should have been to. So we were asked to appoint a principal, which we did, to seek funding, and again, row in Joseph Roundtree and Wallace Johnson. Within 6 weeks, and I was looking at their old trust document this morning, they had to be, I have at least 2 months' notice, they gave us £45,000, purely to be spent. They wouldn't spend anything on buildings, on teachers, so we were able to pay Sheila properly. Brian Lampkin, probably not.
He always took it.
Yes.
Yes, I don't know what.
I don't know, we paid Doreen at all the first year, I think we were. So we started in the Scout Hut. Basil and Sheila and I had the pleasure of going to Castlereagh District Council and watching 11 or 13 DUP councillors vote against us using temporary use of the Scout Hut in Arden Valley. Because Peter Robinson, remember, he worked with council, I said, it's really just for the safety of the children. And we had 28, and Addie Morrow of that great Alliance family stood up and said, that's very funny. She said, we often have 600 or 700 boys at the jamborees there. I can't see the 28 from. Anyway, they were there. We were there for that first term. I think Baz had to push somebody Westminster. Then moved to 63 Church Road, which was a disused 2 rooms, I think it had been a special school. 82, 83, mobiles added, and so on and so forth. We had to add 3 huge mobiles, which all put together bought at a cost of 250,000 for science, home economics and CDT, an assembly and staff room. Maintenance stations did arrive, thank God. Money didn't flow for another 12 months. It was truly dreadful. We were looking at a black hole. And of course when it did, they gave us, it was 85% pick up after that. They put it right down to 180,000, so they took 70 off us like that, because they said there's such depreciation. So for the next 3 years, the school was split. Doreen Butt had to go with her first years and shared the Forge primary classroom school for 2 years, and they kept the lower school down there and the upper school came up here. I'm going to stop because I think I've said quite enough, but I mean, what is there not to say about Sheila? I've said to many people we made mistakes, but there's one thing we sure did right, and that was choosing Sheila Gilfield. Absolutely. She was wonderful. I mean, another person we should have mentioned, because we got a lot of help, when we were short of space, George Thompson weighed in and he was friendly with Basil, and he offered us the disused canteen in Control Folk Museum, and our first years went there. And I said to Sheila, I'm a secretary to the board at this stage, and we better write to tell all the parents, this is terrible. Good enough, she said. They have the best history teacher in the world, coming on the bus. One of those children came from Antrim, one came from Newcastle. They were 11, and we brought them to Castlereagh. Both one of us said, cheerio. They loved it, they were crying. They were brought back from there at Christmas. So you see, I would have been panicking about things. She was wonderful, and she had to take on some of the parents' council at times because they wanted to rule the rules regarding curriculum and things. But she was in charge. She was wonderful, and also her decision 6 years later that it was time. She was thinking, you know, just can't keep this going, and she went back to England. Over to you.
When I've been going, even hearing what Cecil was saying, and going back on some of the stuff that I've been looking into, there are some times when you just feel completely shattered by it, other times when you feel extraordinarily angry, and another time when you just feel very proud. And it's, before I sort of get going on what I want to say, oh yes, there we are.
Yeah. And I grew up 10 months.
Oh, that's fine. But let me just say what I wasn't raised in England, either part, any part, but I think I have a bit of Irish blood in me because I've been raised in Lancashire and Cheshire, and then gone down to Sussex and then gone up to Newcastle. So you know, a bit of a wanderer. But I came to think, why, when in 1961 I was in South India, because I, being Roman Catholic, had married an Anglican, and just to make it more difficult, he was the son of a vicar. And he had decided that part of what he'd like to do was to go and work in an Anglican mission hospital in South India. So I thought, right. And we had our first child then, Margaret. So off we went to South India. Well, as you may or may not know, but the caste system fits very nicely with vision of Christianity. Perfect. Generally, the what you call the underclass, the Dalits, would have 2 Malas and Madhikas in our area, and when the missionaries came, one of them would opt for one, and the other would opt for another. So there's no difficulty in that. You know, you can accommodate somebody as a Baptist, and the other lot as a Presbyterian or a Catholic. But we fitted in beautifully. The only thing was they didn't think we could have got married because we were the wrong caste. So they didn't worry about the mixed marriage as far as Christianity was concerned, but they did worry about the caste. But why this is being important, when I thought back on it, was that at that time, you know, nothing comes from nothing. And in the 60s, in South India, all the Reformation churches were trying to come together to form the Church of South India. And I was very privileged. I was there as a solitary Catholic, Roman Catholic, to listen and to talk, and almost people coming to discuss all the various bits and pieces of how they were going to work all these various groups in what was Christianity, but so efficient. And they would discuss all sorts of things. And one chap came and said he was the Church of Scotland and he was going to take a service in an Anglican church, and he was going to wear one of the stones. And did he think? He said he wondered if John Knox would come and throw things at him. But and they were going through a great deal of the work that we had to put in when we set up Lagan College. What was essential? What wasn't essential? How could we manage to live with things which we felt and which we've been raised never to deal with? And it's difficult to go back then, and it may be still going on, but really, I mean, I was born in 1934, and the 40s were pretty grim, and the 50s were beginning to get better. But the solid teaching that you've got was very rigid. Unfortunately, I finished off with the Sacred Heart nuns, and they were very liberal, and they allowed you to think and argue, and so I think there was a sort of sparklet there. But when I'm thinking about how things happen, how did I end up in Cecil's sitting room in about 1975?
That was great to hear. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. It's great to be here today. My name is Paddy, as you may know. You've seen in the programme. I've just finished my levels in Lagan, just there past June, and I was really privileged to be given the position of head boy as well. Thanks again to NICIE for inviting me here. It's a privilege to be able to share with you, my experience of integrated education, how it's benefited my life, and my own personal journey, and some of the great things that I've been through. So I want to go back to January 2009, and for some people it may seem like yesterday, it really does to me, but I was finishing my last few months in a rural Protestant primary school in Lagan in County Down. In January 2009, I was heading to the open day of Lagan College. And I remember that day so well. I was driving along, just come off the roundabout if you're coming from Castlereagh. And I remember there was a big accident down near the electricity plant. We were in queues and we were sitting there for 20-25 minutes. And I remember sitting there in the car with the big old NICIEs, the big phones, the big bricks, as people call them. I remember sitting there playing with that, and I was so fed up. And I was like, look, can we just go to McDonald's? I really couldn't be bothered sitting here for much longer. But my mum and my dad persisted that we went to this open day. We managed to get to the gates of Lagan, and I suppose from then that was the beginning of my adventure here. Attending integrated school has been, I can't stress enough, it's been such an amazing experience. To learn in this environment, people from all different cultures and backgrounds, getting to know them and what they believe in, the conversation that you could have with people was just great. And for even talking to them, you can sort of see their viewpoints and sort of broaden my horizons as a person and be able to share that with other people as well. And for the first time I was hearing about new places in Belfast that I'd never even heard of before. I didn't know even existed really. So it was so great. And to have these friendships with people from all over Belfast and beyond, being in such a small rural primary school, I never got to meet people like that. So again, friendships from people from all across our country was great. This is going to sound quite bizarre, but when I was 11, I honestly didn't know what a Roman Catholic was, and it just shows you the importance of integrated education, and how far that I've come from not knowing that, to be so passionate about people being educated in an integrated school. And I remember the last few months of P7 when I told people I want to go to Lagan College. I've been to their open day, I remember people saying, like, why would you want to go there? We'll just go to the local secondary school. And they never heard of Lagan College before, but I can assure you now that they've all heard of it now after me talking to them. And I think since leaving in June, it's been great to promote the values which were instilled in me over the last 7 years, and to be open and friendly and loyal and treating everyone the same regardless of where they come from and what they believe in is really, really important to me. And integrated schools, there's so much more than just a place of education. You know, we're this family that don't allow stereotypes and don't allow sort of labelling people, and how we don't allow that to affect the way that we talk and interact with each other. When I talk to friends from different schools, I realise that Lagan College is not just a place with great facilities and great teachers, but it allows us to celebrate our cultures and what we believe in and our faith as well. And I was great to see just a few, only about a month ago, a primary school so close to me, Killaloe, became an integrated primary school. And it's great that people are recognising the importance of these schools and to cherish all sections of our community. Lagan's integrated ethos heavily encouraged me to be involved with people from different backgrounds from outside the school campus as well. And during my GCSEs, which was only a few years ago, through the Boys Brigade, which I was a member of, I was given the option to take part in residential weekends organised by NICIE, the Northern Ireland Children's Enterprise. And it was uniformed organisation, so there was the Scouts and the Catholic Guides Ireland and organisations like that. And I don't think if I'd attended Lagan that I would have jumped at such an opportunity, because I didn't really know. I knew then the importance of integrated and how sort of the attitudes in my generation and the next generations can be changed. And then I went on to be a peer mentor, to be one of the leaders in the year after. I just loved it so much and meeting so many people. I also think a vital part of integrated education is to support people try to be themselves and allow them to worship in a way that they feel comfortable. And I think this was shown in Lagan with the assemblies to mark the different faiths in our calendar. And even though we can be ourselves, we are united by this belief that we are one. Coming from a Christian background, I personally know people who thought, they actually told me this, they thought that if they went to an integrated school they can affect their beliefs in a negative way, but I just think I'm a testament to how I was able to grow in my own faith. And I suppose for some people, sort of having a faith at school in general isn't difficult, but I felt going to Lagan College that this was never an issue, and I was always encouraged, which was such a great thing to be and to have. I feel that if every community in Northern Ireland adopted Lagan College's ethos and the integrated ethos, we could live in a much better place and replacing the prejudice that we have with this trust and understanding, this mutual trust and understanding. We all know we work and live with people from all different backgrounds, but with Lagan College's motto, it's in doing, which means that they may be one. We've been taught together in a school that can bring everyone together, no matter what their faith or their culture is. I'm so incredibly proud of Lagan College and the system, the integrated system that has grown so rapidly, and the work that you've done. The integrated education to me was so important and helped us to transform how the way our young people can think. But over 7 years ago, I never would have imagined that I'd be standing here reflecting on my attendance at an integrated post-primary school, how it's changed my life for the better. It's crazy to think that I attended the open day in 2009, and then I was able to speak there in 2016. It was great. And there are so many people that still need to understand the importance of integrated education. and it has given me not only tremendous confidence and a first-class education, but wide-ranging values as well, which I know will have a lasting impact on my life and for those around me. I really, really do hope that more people, a lot more people, young people in Northern Ireland can come and know the life-changing experience of integrated education. Thank you.
Colin Callan's just done the ID review as such, and he'll tell us about that at some stage. He'll not be able to do it now, I think the Minister has it, so the Minister needs to look at these at this time. But Kelly's on. The Minister has to decide. So, but we have Kelly, and Kelly is telling us that her, about her private members, but which she's going to tell you is out today, ready for consultation. So over to what we hope will be an even brighter future. Thank you very much.
I'll bring this microphone down. Not often I ask people, can you hear me? It's usually, can you see me? Because I'm the shortest. As it says there, Kelly Armstrong. Heavy parents decided to call me Kelly. I was named after a lady called Agnes Kelly. I'm glad I got Kelly and not the Agnes, but there we go. I'd like to start off by saying I'm extremely humbled coming after such fantastic speakers today. Thank you so much. The journey that you have shared is empowering because we can fight still to fight for integrated education. And hearing from Paddy, wow, I'm hoping my verse will be speaking like you in 2 years. So on a personal note, I would like to pay tribute to Anne and Cecil and to all the founding fathers and mothers of integrated education. Your foresight and tenacity created a movement that is changing the lives of young people. Not just young people, but their parents, people like me, and their wider family circles. Integrated education is making a difference to society. Today, pupils develop into well-rounded human beings with a healthy respect for difference, while respecting their own background and identity. These pupils are the embodiment of what we hoped for Northern Ireland. Thank you for creating a movement that is delivering a difference and is making change each and every day. To all involved in NICIE, thank you for including me in today's proceedings. I get the feeling with my private members bill I'll not be liked very much for the next few months, so it's nice to be in a room with smiling faces. Congratulations on another successful year, and I wish you very well for the coming year. I hope I don't make your life difficult. I'm delighted that both of the newest integrated schools supported by NICIE, Lockrees and Kildare, are within my constituency, and I'd like to congratulate the teaching staff, boards and parents of both schools, and welcome of course to the integrated education family. And I use the word family because it is a family. It really is. I'd like to thank the Integrated Education Fund, who have helped me to understand about the complexities faced by integrated education in a developing society, keeping the faith in a very challenging environment. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to congratulate Lagan College on their 35th anniversary. 1981, 28 pupils attended their first day here, and look how far we've come. Children who experience integration at a young age have been shown to have confidence in themselves and respect for each other's culture. It's refreshing and positive, and that approach will enable a new future for Northern Ireland. I'm a passionate advocate of integrated education, and as the mother who sends her child to an integrated school, I decided after being elected to the Assembly just in May past that I would bring forward proposals for a private member's bill on the issue. As you know, I'm a member of the Alliance Party, a party that is in total support of integrated education, but as you can see by my slide here, that this is a private member's bill, not a party bill. This bill falls to me and a very small team of fantastic ladies, they're all ladies at the moment, to produce this bill, and we thank everybody who's helped us so far. And I'll just ask to move on to the next slide. This lovely nightmare here is going to be my life for the next 18 months. The bill we seek to expand. The bill will seek to expand and reform the current legislation framework which enables the provision for integrated education. Importantly, this bill is not about devaluing any other sector. I will repeat that. It is not about devaluing any other sector, but rather it's about strengthening the current provision so that every parent who wishes to send their child to an integrated school is able to do so. The Department of Education has a statutory duty to encourage and facilitate integrated education, but this current legislative framework is insufficient for delivering the significant increase I and others would like to see. The bill would provide a more robust framework to ensure that the Department of Education is fulfilling its obligation and making integrated education the norm, not just the exception. As you can see from this lovely slide, which you can find on the lovely Northern Ireland Assembly website, there are a number of stages to go through before the bill will come into law. I'm not going to go through every one of them because you're probably not like me and you will find it extremely boring, but I'll explain a little bit about what's going on. So to confirm, the first day when I went in and signed the register, I signed the register not as a nationalist and not as a unionist, I signed it as United Community, which is what all Alliance people do. We don't designate ourselves because we don't think that label or the labelling system is important about who we are, and it's not that for our children either. My draft proposal for the private members' bill of unintegrated education was submitted to the Speaker's office 12th of May, almost tomorrow. It's 6 months ago. It's quite scary. Nothing goes fast in politics, unfortunately. The Speaker confirmed eventually in June that my bill was within the legal competency of the Assembly and I could proceed. Since then, Fiona, who's here today, and I have met many organisations, schools, educationalists, academics, and spoken to pupils. We have written to the Minister, who's fully aware of the private members' bill and what's happening. We've written to the Human Rights Commission, the Equality Commission, and to notify them all about the bill. So, if the Minister was minded to bring forward legislation that would have negated the need for the bill, he had the opportunity to confirm such, and this bill would have been withdrawn. He didn't, and therefore we proceeded to draw together a consultation. And the survey, I'm very pleased to say, finally, after a lot of hard work from Fiona, who's in the room somewhere, has gone live today. She's over there, and I have to say it's thanks to her and the work that she's done that we've got this far. The link will appear later, so you'll all have the chance to have your say. But the reason why we needed a survey is up until now the draft proposal has been my thoughts and objectives. It's out of Kelly's head. I now need you to tell me what your thoughts are, and there's plenty of time to do this. Consultation's open until the end of January 2017. There's 2 surveys, one's for adults and one's for the young people. And I'm not just talking to young people who are currently in integrated education, we're talking to all young people. I mean, Fiona and I have just come from a meeting with Include Youth. There are some disenfranchised people from across Bangor and Ards areas, and they actually have in their manifesto as their priority, even though they didn't go to integrated education, is integrated education. So there's wonderful young people coming forward to give us their opinions. Once the consultation closes, Fiona and I will have the opportunity to review all the answers. We will probably need to amend the proposal, which is why I'm not giving you a copy of the draft proposal I gave to the Speaker, because I intend it to change. It's my thoughts, Kelly's words, it's going to change because I want it to be your bill. And then we will publish our findings. Every person who gives me their contact details will be provided with a copy of the report that we produced by email. I'm not going to hide anything, I'm going to tell everybody. And if people say to me, this is a load of rubbish, I'll pull it. If it's going to go forward, you'll know why. The amended proposal, the new wording, will go forward to the drafts office where the draftsman will create what you would recognise as a piece of legislation, the bill. Once the draftsperson is finished, I then get to move the bill. Now I'm reading this one, and that's that stage. That will be a year since, just over a year since I'll have put it into the Speaker's office for permission. And that's when I get to the first stage. And as I say, I'm not going to talk about all the stages because we will be here all night. But it's a long time in coming, but it will be worth it in the end. So as you can see, the legislation takes a long time. Once it's moved in the House, it will no longer be my private member's bill, but a bill of the Assembly. I will have no control over the amendments that come forward and how much the bill can change. But we also have to remember at some stage the bill could be killed by a petition of concern. I will of course be fighting to retain the core objectives that are confirmed by all of you through the survey, and this is why the consultation and survey is so important. With your input, I have a stronger argument for the legislation to protect integrated education and ensure that what you want for the future of integrated education be realised. In this place. So what I hope to achieve, we go back again to the lovely, it's a place I call my office, Stormont. There we go. So what I hope to achieve through the bill. So firstly, the Good Friday Agreement recognised integrated education as an important element of bringing communities together to heal the division from years of violence, stating an essential aspect of the reconciliation process is the promotion of a culture of tolerance at every level of society, including initiatives to facilitate and encourage integrated education in mixed housing. The Department of Education, meanwhile, has a statutory duty to integrated education set out in the Education Reform Northern Ireland Order 1989. This is my day-to-day work, by the way, it's all legislation. And in it said, it shall be the duty of the department to encourage and facilitate the development of integrated education. That is to say, the education together at school of Protestant and Roman Catholic pupils. We'll get to the future very shortly, because that needs to change, but we'll talk on. I want to build on that statutory duty in my private member's bill and respond to the very clear demand for change. A poll carried out by Millward Brown in 2013 showed that 83% of people here believe integrated education is a vital part of creating a shared future in Northern Ireland, while 60% of parents would prefer new schools resulting from consolidation of smaller schools to be integrated. Yet nothing is being done by the Department of Education to take forward the changing wishes of parents. Thankfully, last year's so-called Fresh Start Agreement ensured an investment of $500 million for integrated and shared capital projects over the next 10 years. That money is coming from Westminster, not from the Northern Ireland budget, and this is how important the UK government sees integrated education here. They're investing new money where the Northern Ireland Executive is not, and this is why the bill is needed. The Northern Ireland Executive has no intention of producing any legislation in this mandate to support integrated education, and no intention of enabling funding to support integrated education. That's no progressive, positive action until after 2021. This bill is the only legislative action that will be taken for the next 5 years. The Westminster capital investment will allow existing integrated schools to expand and grow while creating the opportunity for new integrated schools to be established, something the Executive had no intention of doing in this mandate. The private member's bill will complement the capital investment by ensuring that the Department of Education can actually fulfil its statutory duty. Secondly, as we know, integrated education will save money. Integrated education not only provides social benefits, but financial ones as well. It can help reduce the cost of maintaining empty school places. It enables funding to be directed towards pupils rather than sustaining a divided school estate, and it improves sustainability by making it easier to fund the modernisation of the school estate. In order to realise all of these goals, my private member's bill will contain a number of clauses setting out how they can best be achieved. And I hope Paddy and Cecil might hear a few things that we can take to heart. And this includes, I think the department should set out minimum targets for children being educated in integrated schools within the next decade. I think that they should amend the current statutory duty on the department to actively promote and not just merely facilitate integrated education. So Paddy, nobody knows about integrated education because it's like the best kept secret, but everybody knows how wonderful it is, so it's time to promote. I think that we should require the department to plan effectively for integrated education, which will require them to have an integrated strategy to map out and ensure the implementation of the bill. To review the transformation process because it has created an extra barrier for those who wish to see integrated provision in their area. I would also like to see the department audit communities to assess the demand for integrated education and to use this information in preparing area plans. Many integrated schools have to turn away pupils because they were oversubscribed. And tonight, Mark Weir's here. That's a beautiful school. And Mark's having to turn away pupils who could fill his school twice the number in the first year. Exactly. We are turning away children and families who want to come to integrated education. And on that note, I have discovered that no one is tracking where those children who are turned away are going. This isn't good enough. It's not good enough. Having an audit will also help to formulate for and how. It also helps communities feel more involved in the planning of education provision for their children and young people. Lots of objectives here, but this is where I have to give a health warning. All that I want to achieve in this bill will depend on the political parties in the Assembly. And earlier, Cecil, there was a slide you put up, lobby your MPs. I'm going to need you to lobby the MLAs. Because if you go to the next slide, Denise, oh, not that one, going before. I need you to have your say. I need you to tell me exactly what you think. And there's lots of questions. That's the link. It's live now. I'm so pleased it's live now after the work that's gone into it. One for adults, one for young people. You can go into this. Go online today. Have a look at it. You can make as many comments as you want. You can look at it on your phone. You can do it whole families can go onto one computer and one after each other do it. Don't just have one family, one survey. Do as many as you want. The important thing for me is young people will be having a say in this. They are the future of education. I'm of that age, but I do have a daughter at integrated education. And I want her and all her classmates to respond to this. I want you, I want grandparents, I want parents, I want teachers, I want educational professionals, everybody to have a say, because that will formulate the legislation. All those stages need to go through before we get to the first stage. So that's the link, and it's open now. On a personal level, I never had the opportunity to attend an integrated school. I'm now in the assembly with Claire Bailey, who was one of the first Lagan College students. But I have found the integrated experience for my child enlightening and inspiring. Looking wider, Northern Ireland is becoming more culturally diverse, and an increasing number of parents like me want their children to go to an integrated school. The best way to pay tribute to the pioneers of Lagan College and other trailblazers is to ensure that they have the opportunity to do just that. And last slide. If you have any questions, I'm here to listen, folks. But thank you so much.
To give a round of applause for all of our speakers, because they have just been fantastic. You can hear me talking about the transgenerational impact of the conflict from time to time, but I think if you wind me up, it's come out now because I'm very concerned about it. But what I wanted to say today was about that struck me, the transgenerational impact of the pioneers of integrated education and the future that's coming forward as well. My parents are integrated education. I'm absolutely thrilled by what we're trying today. I think it's really, really inspiring and keeps me going after my nearly 20 years here. So I wonder if you people would maybe have a few questions for folk, if I can ask them to leave their chair down for a couple of minutes, just even for, I know I'm in danger keeping you from your buffet, but even for a couple of minutes, would you, if anybody wanted to ask a question? Could you ask it? Yes, you certainly can, Margaret. You certainly can.
I'm a dinosaur in this outfit. I was one of the early members. In fact, I think I was the first prod. I was one of the nosy neighbours that stuck my nose into what the parents would do in their Catholic Sunday school. And I want to say something that's I think is very important. This is from what Cecil was saying. And it was about the first conference that we had, where we invited several, in fact many, very eminent speakers. They really were awfully cheeky because we said, we've only got 10 minutes, we didn't have red lights or egg time, was quite big. We were quite concerned that we were not going to speak over the time, because we did not do. Well, after the interesting talks we had, and they were so exciting, really exciting, we broke into workshops, and I was sitting next door to, never forget this, to Michael Hurley. This is one of the eminent people we had, and Michael Hurley, he was the head of the Irish School of Economics. And he was, yes, and he was sitting, and he had his great big boots up on the table, and he was chain smoking. I'll never forget it. This marvellous man, and then I was sitting beside him. And one of the things that we agreed in this little working group was that the schools that we should start, hopefully, would have a Christian ethos. Now, I don't know whether that came into resolution, Cecil, but I think all the other groups agreed so too. And you mentioned it when you gave your final speeches. And that was a really important thing. Now, I had taught in Catholic school, being abroad, I taught at Catholic school. It wasn't in Britain, it was in Trinidad. And I realised all these Catholics who were in these groups, these working groups, were maybe making some sort of sacrifice because the Christian ethos was going to suit everybody. It wasn't going to be a Protestant one. or a very Catholic one, and I knew what the Catholic one was like because I taught in this convent in Port of Spain. So there we were. We had this resolution. Now, one of the things that informed us in all our talks and conferences and all the discussions we had was what went on in school in England, and it was St Bede's at Red Hill in Surrey, which had been established. This has been a great thing for us here in Northern Ireland, established by two bishops, one of the Church of Catholic Church, and yes, the Anglican Church. I can't remember the name of the Anglican one, but the other one was Connor.
Who was then Bishop of Ireland.
And so we had them to do a conference for us, and one of the things was that they had two chaplains. This is what made their school work very, very well. They did have the chaplain and the Protestant chaplain. And so we decided that when we had our school, Lagan College, we would have chaplains. At first, we had a very generous Protestant clergy who gave their services free. There were 6, I think. I won't go through them all. But then we also had a young man from sorry, I'm having a scene in He was from Cotsgar. Redemptorist, that's the word I wanted. Thank you so much. He was our first chaplain. But we did have some conference with the Redemptorists from Clonard. It is that they prayed about it, is that they would be very kind to give us their services. Well, the bishop put his foot down on that. And then we got a succession of young people, and then we got funding for 2 chaplains through Sister Anne and through all, and they have created a wonderful Christian atmosphere in this school, which is very, very obvious. And we've got Helen. Yes, Helen. And sitting next to her is our newest chaplain, and my very little Jared. Right. So I think that this Christian ethos is just so evident in the school and all the young people who come here. So I have to be very, very grateful and very, very thankful.
And it would be lovely, I was saying to Helen on the way, if anybody could call it the chap. The chap is just absolutely beautiful. And again, thinking of all this kind of things. And I nearly went through the teaching youth class because I heard one of the ladies from one of the Catholic schools saying, we were all selected. Nobody could pick this person.
Yes.
Really
So we've disproved that completely. So thank you so much.
What I wondered was, I think I, as you know, was out for about 3 years, came back and heard this very repeated to me time and time again recently that your schools are secular, right? And I'm sitting there with a shock on my face going, it's two chaplains that Lagan have, but it's certainly not secular. And also that there's no place on the governor's in a transformed school for Catholics, or Catholic trustees, or Catholic parents. It's not the schools I know about. However, what I was wondering was, did anybody have a question for our unbelievable panel? Anybody have a question?
Can I ask a question? I just want to ask a question of Kelly. Being optimistic in terms of time frame, how long everything goes according to your plan?
According to Fiona and I's plan, they will have this through before, not next summer, but the one after that. We're very, put it like this here, whenever I joined politics, I didn't, not a career politician, so I can sit there and drink a tea all day. And my staff team actually know what a good day's work is. So we're actually one of the very first that's got this consultation level going. So what we're hoping is if we get our consultation out now, we keep it going to the end of January because we know Christmas is a busy time for schools, for parents, and for everyone. End of January, we do a review, we get it to address people, and if we good win, I move it first stage into the Assembly before the summer recess. Maybe September, we'll kick and shout about that one. And then we start the process, and the yelling and the screaming starts at some stage, and the committee will say, what a background, we can do this in 2 years. If we do this in 2 years, we might get a vote on another private members bill, the Field's just had a hard time. With a fair wind, we can. In the past, private members bills took forever. 3-5 years. You know, Stuart, or seeing like new children, about it. He got through, it took a while to go through. I think it was about we would be working extremely hard on that. Now, as I say, we could be held up with amendments. So some of you guys to shout at all the other MLAs to say, stop carrying on that way and let this get through, please.
First of all, I'd just like to say thank you very much. I just love hearing about it all over again. I don't care if it's anything. We've been involved in dairy as well for kind of as long. But it's great to hear the story, and it's really good to hear one of the most recent graduates from Lagan College. I was really interested, Kelly, in hearing you today. This is the cynic or the doubter in the back of my head. One of my big concerns and how would you rate this. And I know the polls, we've given up on kind of thinking about polls and about putting bets on for any likely results of consultations or elections or anything else. What about petition of concerns? I mean, is that how do you feel about the likelihood of that?
To be honest, that would be, if it's going to get killed, I would rather it was killed by petition of concern. Because at the end of the day, I haven't written anything into this bill that says anything negative about any other type of school or religion or anything at all. So if they're going to kill it, and it's only the DUP have enough numbers to kill it at the end of the day, if they kill it with petition of concern, that actually is wonderful. I'll plaster it all over every newspaper in the countryside to say, look what they've done, they haven't accepted integrated education. How in the name of good girls could you do that? But they could. So petition of concern is always there. It could be watered down by amendments. Hopefully it won't be fighting that case. But petition of concern, I would love that to be reformed so that this sort of thing doesn't get killed with petition of concern, so that those of us who designate as other can finally be counted. But the petition of concern is, of course, a concern. Unfortunately, we don't know with the DUP whether or not they will be whipped into line and told to vote in a certain way. We know it's supposed to be at the start of the year, we all sign blank petition of concern form, so we can do it at any time. But it'll be a wee while away yet. I get the first stage through, I get the next couple of stages, goes to committee stage, and then I kill it. So there will be a lot of you will have responded to the survey by that time. A lot of you will have seen the report coming out of the survey. There will be a lot of noise made in the press about what we're saying about it. We're asking lots of people's opinions on this. I'm not hiding in the corner ignoring other sectors. I'm talking to all the other sectors. I'm glad to do so because I'm not trying to negate anybody else's type of schooling. I just want to have a fair crack at it.
Would it be, just put on, this is a very interesting point about not keeping track of using a record because I mean, my research was done in well, my God. And I think the lady up to me, my garden, really expensive for daughters. Didn't get into take one. There's another one apparently could be done. If there was a record, if there was parts linked to your site, there these people would actually put their names down if they were willing to do it. So I felt, I don't know, we never used to do it. So I would want to say we should, all of us in the room, parents who were refused this, to go to the European Court of Justice. And you know, we need to hurry up and do that fast. But I mean, it does seem a shame that we're not using that. Yeah.
Always a question of
Activated. That's what we need to activate.
educate together. That's just for organisation.
Sorry, just first of all, thank you very much for the privilege to be here to represent education. think we were talking was when the launch of your fabulous book in the running non-denominational school a few years ago. But one of the things that really struck me when I was listening to you is the parallels of the dates. Because Educate Together was set up in 1975, our first school opened in 1978. As a pie, we're up now at 90 schools, 81 primaries and 9 secondaries, which has been awarded the contract 44 more secondaries in the next 2 years. And I think... Oh, sorry, I probably should be using my usual voice then. Okay, so... I don't think I need, sorry, but do I need to say everything again? No. Okay. Well, I just wanted to really say there was a huge parallel in our history, and one of the questions is that I've always been really fascinated by is what interconnections were there between All Children Together and the people involved with the starting up of Educate Together. The Johnstons, the Highlands, and I just think that we're at a stage now where we're really at a turning point. I have to be careful how I said this, I got this wrong last. In the jurisdiction to the south. I got caught up in installment by using the wrong terms, and I won't do it again. In the jurisdiction of the south, there is a real turning point. For example, in the expressions of interest for these 4 new secondary schools, the numbers of parents and children registered for new Educate Together schools were twice those registered for denominational schools. And if we included the full range of children from the earliest primary school age, it was 3 to 1. And this represents a huge changeover. I mean, even just 4 or 5 years ago, we were campaigning to be allowed to be recognized as a small minority representation in rural areas in our country. And so that there is a huge change, and I'd really encourage this private members bill. I've been taking all the details. We can do similar things in our jurisdiction as well.
We're going to go down to your jurisdiction. I've been invited in January to come and talk, so...
But I mean, I suppose the point, really, the question is that there's a parallel story of the cooperation between the two movements.
We had a lot of doing it when Mike Johnson used to come up. Mike was in when Mike first had Mike up in the first Southeast Education Review Board. And I was speaking to the gentleman who works now at the Education Authority.
John Collins,
yeah. Because there was such a change from part of that which were in 4 appropriate probably 32 on the down or the out and I thought it was sort of quite embarrassing because I was on the picture of the in Southeast board and they were so hard on the street. Of course, it's boring to be honest. And that was one of the things that came to great use when they were finally appointing chief executive.